So about a year or two ago I decided to photograph nothing but great blue herons for about 30 days. It was an interesting assignment. I certainly had a lot of fun doing it, and I think it's really cool as a photographer or just someone who likes to be outside a lot to just spend time with one animal and to try and capture sort of everything about them and tell their story. And it's really rare to be given an assignment, so what better way, just make your own one if you have the time. So I hope that you guys enjoy the following commentary and photos, of course. And if you want to see anything more, you can always check out the links below to my Instagram, and there'll be plenty more videos to come, so hopefully you enjoy. Okay, so we didn't get off to the best start. I ended up going out at high tide, and turns out great blue heron's late low tide, which I already knew, but I was just really excited to get going. But, you know, after a few hours, this heron turned up in a tidal pool, and we got a really good image, and a good collection of images, which will show up soon. You see a little fish in its mouth, and that green from the trees behind just reflected in, and it's just awesome. Just look how long their neck is as well. I think one thing I learned from this assignment is how big these birds are, and you'll see them in some photos down the line. So I was just sitting down, sinking into the sand, but I'm very close to this bird. It was very, very tolerant of me being there. Looking at that pose, the way it just the light hits its face, it's almost like it's posing. You see how small that fish is, it just shows you how amazing a hunter they are, that they can snap up such a small fish in the tidal pool. And finally, looking at that is striking a pose if ever I've seen it. I love how that sort of tether at the back of its head just floats in the breeze, but this heron is strutting its stuff in the tidal pool, and it knows what it's doing. And the strike force, this just shows these birds are quite deadly when they want to be. They can just strike at such a phenomenal speed, you know, and that's sort of a saying about the heron, is it only strikes when it needs to. They're so efficient, such efficient animals, they hardly waste any effort. And it's one thing I just absolutely love about them, is just how patient they can be, and then how they can just move with such efficiency. And this one here, just the water there dropping off the talons. And I can only think of one word here, and that's graceful, and I'm going to try not to use that word too much. But this is an awesome younger heron, just really graceful. Speaking of graceful, here's a collection of photos of heron coming into land and taking off again. A nice adult heron, nice outstretched wings. It's just landing there. The feet come down. And then not long after, it takes off again. You can see the water just dripping off the talons again. And a lot of photographers like having the wings up. On this occasion, I really enjoyed having the wings down. I think it contrasts nicely with the blue in the background, and I really like this image. It works well. Cloudy morning this one was. Created a nice blue with some pretty sharp sunlight. So a lot of shadows, a lot of dark blues. It was interesting one to photograph. You see there, that word graceful just coming in again, the way it lands. Such huge wings, and you can see why people like having the wings up. I mean, there's so much detail under there. And you can see out of focus heron in the corner, and I think it's really cool to show off a bird or any animal in its environment. It's really important if you're going to do an assignment or showcase an animal. You want to see people want to see how it lives and what's around it. And this one, you can see there's tidal pools and other herons, and you know it's an interesting one.
And then a little bit of a cleaner image without the out of focus bird in the background, just the next frame over. And yeah, once again, there's no other word to say it, but it's just super graceful and just nice light hitting it. These birds are just seriously awesome. They're really cool birds. And look at this heron, he's taking the low stance, going for the hunt. Remember the one earlier, taking a bit more of a high stance, walking around the tidal pool with its neck stretched out. This one is just about to unleash that neck, kind of like a spear gun. It's just going to absolutely stick its beak into the water, and there, you see it there. But also very lucky to get a reflection on the water there, kind of makes a nice aesthetic look for the photo. The shoreline in the background also creates some nice lines for the eye, gives the overall photograph some character, in my opinion anyway. Lots of colour, lots of green in the back, and you see the sand, and then the incoming tide there, creating some nice blues, and once again, outstretched wings of the heron, making some pretty graceful entries onto the beach. And it's not often you get to really appreciate how big these birds are. I was sitting at the edge of the tidal pool photographing this bird who was very tolerant of me, and it's walking around hunting, but I just couldn't get over how big they were. Not that threatening, but just super big and super fast as well. And I think it's important on an assignment to try and get a bit of interaction. I couldn't really get a lot of interaction. Most herons are sticking to themselves, but on this occasion, this younger heron sort of flew into this older heron's tidal pool, and the adult heron below was not having a bar of it at all, sticking the wings out. And for this young heron, it was a tough call there. 9 a.m. was not a friendly time for it. It really learnt a harsh lesson in the life of a heron. See, first light of the morning, roosting heron in the trees. Nice conifer trees been lit up. And it's really cool to catch them in the trees. I quite often only find them in tidal pools, but once I found them in the trees, though, I couldn't stop seeing them. And they're nice contrast in colours. And once again, just such tolerant birds. They really just sort of let you hang around and photograph them. I felt very lucky to be able to capture a lot of these photographs. Juvenile heron, probably from the one before, who got told off. Was very close to the previous photo. Wanted to try and get them into the one photo together, but just couldn't. But yeah, nice photo, good light. And you see this heron here, he's just got intent. He's on the absolute march here. You see that look in its eye, the yellow eyes, and nothing is going to stop this heron from getting what it wants. It was really cool to try and get front-on images instead of just side profiles, and try and get a real intimate picture of the bird and capture it in its actual daily life, doing what it does, and all the colours. And yeah, it was great assignment. And there's a side profile of the same bird. I think it's the same bird. And see, it's there once again, just hunting. I don't think it's got anything, but the strike force, and they're just, once again, they're just incredible hunters. The way that how quickly that they can just snap up a fish I always felt kind of bad for the fish, though, to be honest. So you might think this heron's doing a call, but in reality, something just didn't go down quite right. You can see its throat is quite puffy, and you'll see I got a little bit of a collection here. You see the tongue comes out. This bird's just not having a good time at all this morning. I was quite enjoying photographing. I thought it was such an interesting moment. The heron always looks so sort of bland, and all of a sudden the tongue was out. And then eventually this heron just couldn't take it anymore and gravity pulled it right down to the ground. You can see how big its throat got. And I can reassure you that nothing regurgitated at all. But it did make for an interesting image. I don't think the heron found it very funny. And then to finish, this heron is just saying, please don't photograph me at 6:30 in the morning, refusing to show its face. I think it's actually preening its feathers there, but once again, beautiful light, and I just think it's a great closing image for the overall essay. Once again, there was thousands of photos, and these are just 20 or so of them, but my philosophy in photography in general is just to get outdoors and just be present and try to capture what you can and have fun and be respectful to the animal.